Hey, Steve Lynch here, licensed massage therapist, and I'm chatting you up live from Limestone Therapeutic Massage here in Newark, Delaware. And if you have any questions about any of the things I talk about, you can always hit me up at stevelynchlmt.com, or you can hit up Limestone Massage at limestonemassage.biz or .com. You can find out about me or book treatments. The reason I'm chatting you up today is should be what is a simple subject, uh, but there's a lot of confusion about it. Two things: heat and ice, and I mean these relative to injury, like low back pain, neck pain, etc. In the therapy business, we get a lot of people coming in with low back pain, sciatica, the big one. Neck injuries, neck pain, neck and shoulder pain. And when we do treatment, of course, we always try to understand the nature of the injury and what people are doing for it on their own. Um, and what I hear a lot of is I hear a lot of, well, I'm using the heating pad, and that seems to help me before I go to sleep. Only I can't shake this pain, and it feels really bad. Um, I want to talk about heat for a second because heat is like this beautiful thing where you put the hot pack or the hot towels heating pad on a low back that's hurting or hips. Man, it just feels so good, and you can kind of doze off to sleep. And the problem with heat, though, is heat is part of the inflammation process. If you ever sprained an ankle or a wrist or kind of torn a muscle or anything like that, even right down to say, an allergic reaction to a bee sting or an insect bite. If you feel that area, there's a lot of heat in there, and there's also a lot of swelling. Okay, well, there's a reason for this. Heat being part of uh, a byproduct of the inflammation process or the allergic reaction process. What's happening here is that um, the body is trying to fight whatever it is that's happening. If it's a rip or a tear in the structure, or if it's a toxin, the body is mobilizing scar tissue, mobilizing lymphocytes to carry away waste, and this process is drawing in fluid. And in short, uh, your body is like, well, it's like a bag in a way, like a plastic bag, and a lot of fluid in there, and it has compartments of this fascia, okay, compartmentalization of structure. And so what happens is when you use this heat, you're drawing in fluid into a certain area, and it only has so much room, and it possesses what are called nociceptors. These are pain receptors for the body. It sends signals back to the brain. So when you pull in that excess fluid, the structure gets really packed in there, and it's painful to move. There's too much pressure on the nociceptors, and they're telling the brain, hey man, I'm getting full here, I can't move, and it's really painful. Okay, so this is heat. Okay, it's vasodilation, it's fluid drawing, and that's the reaction that you get from heat after the relaxation. And there's another thing that comes into play when we're talking about heat in relation to low back pain or shoulder or neck pain. Well, any pain like that, actually. And that's the lymphatic system, okay? Lymph nodes, lymphatic system, lymphatic drainage. Well, the lymphatic process really depends on the musculoskeletal system, because what happens is the muscles act like a pump, and they're pumping that blood and that waste product into the lymph nodes. It's like a pressurized system. So when you're laying around at night, when you're sleeping and relaxing, um, the lymphatic system is not so much working. Okay. Um, in fact, it slows down to a crawl. So if you have applied heat to relax and go to sleep by on your lumbar section or on your cervical section, there's going to be a fluid buildup there overnight, and it's going to continue to draw that in. So when you wake up in the morning, you might be even more sore than you were the night before. So something that I advise my clients on. Now you take ice. Ice is a different story altogether. Ice is all about stopping that inflammation process. You notice when someone sprains an ankle or a wrist or something at a sports game, the first thing they do is they run for the ice packs, okay, and elevation, rest, ice, compression, elevation. Um, it works because what happens is with that ice, it begins to stop the inflammation process, slow it down, okay, and it's a vasoconstrictor, and it kind of motivates contraction within the muscle tissue. So what happens is you get that fluid pushed out of the inflamed part of the body, and it immediately begins to feel better because the inflammation is leaving. There's not so much compartmentalization of fluids, and so even though you've injured it, there's a little bit more pain-free movement, and there's fluid evacuation of the lymphocytes and the extra fluid that's built up there. So this is why it's very important if you have some type of cervical or lumbar problem, like say sciatica, that you want to have that ice before you go to sleep rather than heat. And it makes a big difference. Now you can use these together. It's a process we call contrast therapy. Contrast therapy works this way. Heat, relaxing, drawing in fresh nutrients, fresh blood. Ice, pushing waste product out. Heat, ice, heat, ice. Vasodilation, vasoconstriction, vasodilation, constriction. You get the picture, right? So that is how the process should work, and that's how it can work to your benefit in the case of neck and back pain that's chronic or persistent. You can put that heat on there, but by all means end up with ice. And if you have any more questions about that or anything else, massage or therapy related or training related, you can shoot them to me at stevelynch.lmt.com. And again, I invite you to check our website out at limestonemassage.com or .biz. In the meantime, hey, treat yourself well and have a sweet life.